It's me! It's Simon from WhatCulture. No, didn't work. DDP's got a better name. But another week has passed us by, so it's time to check in with the wrestling world to see what's gone down in the last 7 days. And we start where we always start, and that's with the WWE. Because as we know, WWE is the best. Or not, whichever, I don't care. We begin with a tweet from Triple H that could turn out to be very interesting indeed. Showing the game watching a monitor that on it had Finn Balor and Nakamura in the ring together, he simply wrote, "No sleep till Brooklyn." Right, so what does that even mean? Are we about to get a Balor Nakamura match at the next NXT TakeOver special? What about Finn's call up to the main roster? What's happening with that? In many ways, maybe we're about to get the best of both worlds. That match in itself would be incredible, and maybe this spells the swan song for Finn's NXT career. It was the King of Strong Style that booted Sami Zayn to Raw during WrestleMania weekend. Why can't he do the same for the Demon? And who's to say Finn doesn't pull double duty that weekend and turns up at SummerSlam as well? All the questions! The indie scene continues to dominate WWE headlines this week as we found out the next guest on the Steve Austin show on the 20th of June is going to be AJ Styles. Airing that night immediately after Raw, what we all want to know is whether Steve Austin's allowed to reference TNA or if it's just going to be called Places Around the World. It should be damn interesting, however, especially given Styles' recent run and how complimentary Steve Austin has been about the Phenomenal One. Colour me excited. Is that a thing? Can you colour something? You can't, can you? No, it doesn't make any sense. Next, we move on to the WWE draft that's coming up in a few weeks. And by the sound of things, we're all about to go through some massive shake-up. As well as Raw and SmackDown separating to do their own thing, it seems likely that NXT is going to go through the ringer as well. According to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, NXT is going to be rated big time for the draft, so many of your favourite faces are about to be flung to the main roster. That's certainly no bad thing though. For starters, that's always going to be the goal of every wrestler, so the fact an opportunity has come up for this to happen is great. It's also going to make both brands feel fresh and different, something the split needs if it's going to succeed. And we don't even have to worry about NXT. Triple H says he's got 80 to 90 talents ready to make the jump from developmental to TV, so everybody wins. That's WWE. So here's everything else that's been filtering through this week that does actually contain some WWE. Because that's just life sometimes. But a story that did bridge both worlds this week came in the form of Ring of Honor star Moose, who, according to WrestlingInc.com, was backstage at the NXT TakeOver event this week. So you gotta start assuming the obvious, right? Throw in that he put a tweet out saying that Ring of Honor would always have a special place in his heart, and, well, you know, starts to make sense. It wouldn't even come as that big of a surprise. Moose has come on leaps and bounds over the last year and in many ways is the quintessential WWE superstar. I bet he'd do brilliantly under Vince McMahon. For starters, he's 6'4", which is already one huge tick in the Give This Man the Championship column. In quite literal super news, Will Ospreay won the Best of the Super Juniors over in New Japan, beating Taguchi in the final. It's been an amazing tournament for the young British wrestler who, as we also know, had his profile greatly elevated when he had some flippy shit with Ricochet. He's now scheduled to face junior heavyweight champion Kushida at Dominion on the 19th of June, which, for those that are interested, is the same day as Money in the Bank. Or is it? It is, yeah. I don't know why I did that. Moving on. Pentagon Jr. returned to Lucha Underground this week and, to be completely honest with you, it was awesome. As well as being one of the most over guys in the company, it very much feels like when he's not on the show, something's missing. Throw in how exciting the man is as a character across the entire wrestling landscape, and he has that whole I'm a wrestler and I'm gonna break your arm shtick, and the more we can get of Pentagon, the better. I like it. Now it's time for this week's takeaways, which are news items which you should literally take away and ponder all weekend, and then get back to us on Monday to let us know what you think about it. Basically giving you homework. First, it's the nonsense with the Money in the Bank match and how many people were actually going to get on it. We all remember the 7-man graphic from Raw a few weeks ago before the qualifying matches started, but now it looks like we're just getting 6 and we should all just be happy with that. But what happened? Has WWE just forgotten? Or should we expect a secret entrant? I mean, we did see Neville at TakeOver the End the other day. Is that a hint of what's to come? The Wrestling Observer's Dave Meltzer doesn't think so, replying to a tweet the other day saying at the moment it's just 6. We shall just give up then. Right, it's TNA time. And firstly, credit where credit is due. Their go-home show for the Slammiversary pay-per-view was actually very good. But as for the event itself, we've got the Full Metal Mayhem match between crazy Matt Hardy and Brother Nero, Maria versus Gail Kim, EC3 versus Mike Bennett, and Drew Galloway versus Bobby Lashley in a match that can only end with a knockout or a submission. I'm not sure why there's all this disdain about pins, but there you go. Could it be decent? Absolutely, and fair play to the Hardys for generating some buzz about the show. But isn't there a little thing in all of us, I mean just a little bit, where we think it could be car crash TV? There's only one way to find out, and that's to watch. Or, don't watch. Wake up the next day, read about it online, and then see if it's worth your time. That old nugget. We end this week focusing all our attentions on the WWE draft. We've already mentioned how it could inhale NXT, but what does it do to both Raw and SmackDown when mid-July rolls around? SmackDown obviously needs a kick up the arse to get TV ratings to the point where the USA Network is happy. That doesn't mean you can throw all your stars on there. You've got to find a balance, especially when Raw is 3 hours. We all know how much that can drag some time. Imagine there's no talent on there. My gosh! It's going to feel like some weird foreign film you don't understand, or a David Lynch project. It's also a very important time for NXT. Triple H has suggested the end subtitle was as much about Finn Joe's feud as it was about NXT shedding the idea of being a developmental territory and becoming a brand in itself. Is that really the case? We're about to find out, and we're about to find out hard. But not in a weird way. That made it sound really weird. I just mean in a nice, lovely, normal way. Just forget it. So there you go. All of this week's news delivered to you in a lovely fashion. It's a bit like when someone sends you a postcard and it makes you feel all good inside, because you know that someone else was thinking about you. Or something. I'm Simon from WhatCulture, and please do remember to like, share, and subscribe. It's nice when people do that, and you can find me on Twitter at SimonMiller316. Topics this week consist of who shaved their head better, Ryback or Goldberg, and also why am I a little worried that I prefer Big Cass over Enzo. Definitely shouldn't have said that.
WhatCulture.com are releasing a new magazine about wrestling, and it's called Wrestling. It'll have 140 pages of timeless wrestling content, including a brand new How WWE Should Have Booked written by this virulent son of a bitch. It will also have a list of the 100 best wrestling matches of all time compiled by WhatCulture staff and wrestling insiders. So the magazine is available to pre-order now. Follow the link in the description and enjoy WhatCulture.com's Wrestling.